You might think being spiritually chosen means an easy life filled with blessings and joy. But what if I told you it's actually the opposite? The truth is, those who are destined for spiritual greatness often face the toughest challenges. It's like a hidden rule of the universe. The chosen ones must first suffer. Now, you're probably wondering, why would the universe be so cruel? Well, stick around, because I'm about to reveal the surprising reasons behind this spiritual paradox. Imagine for a moment that you're climbing a mountain. The higher you aim to go, the steeper and rockier the path becomes. That's exactly what happens on the spiritual journey. The more significant your spiritual role, the more intense your trials will be. It's not about punishment, it's about preparation. Just like a diamond needs pressure to form, your spirit needs challenges to grow and shine. But here's the thing. This suffering isn't random or pointless. It's a carefully designed process to shape you into the spiritual powerhouse you're meant to be. Think of it as spiritual boot camp. It's tough, it's demanding, but it's also transforming you in ways you can't even imagine yet. The chosen ones aren't just given their spiritual gifts, they earn them through the fire of adversity. Now, you might be thinking, can't I just skip the hard part and get to the good stuff? Well, here's why that's a dangerous thought. If you don't understand why suffering is part of the spiritual journey, you might give up when things get tough. And trust me, things will get tough. It's like trying to bake a cake without knowing that the batter needs to go through the heat of the oven. You'll end up with a goopy mess instead of a delicious treat. Ignoring the role of suffering in your spiritual growth is like trying to build a house without a foundation. Sure, it might look good for a while, but as soon as the storms of life hit, it'll come crashing down. And let me tell you, those storms will come. Life has a way of testing us, especially when we're on a spiritual path. But here's the real kicker. If you turn away from the challenges, you're not just missing out on growth. You're actually rejecting your spiritual calling. It's like being handed a golden ticket and throwing it away because the journey looks too hard. The price of this ignorance isn't just stalled progress. It's a lifetime of wondering, what if? What if you had pushed through? What if you had embraced the struggle? What amazing spiritual heights could you have reached? Now, let's dive into something that's going to blow your mind, the mirror principle. This isn't some complex spiritual mumbo-jumbo. It's actually pretty simple, but incredibly powerful. The mirror principle says that our outer world is a reflection of our inner world. In other words, what's happening inside you is shaping what's happening around you. Think of it like this. Your mind is like a projector, and the world is the screen. Whatever film you put in that projector is going to show up on the screen of your life. If your inner world is full of fear, doubt, and negativity, guess what? Your outer world is going to reflect that right back at you. But here's the exciting part. If you can change what's going on inside, you can change what's happening outside. Now, how does this connect to the suffering of the chosen ones? Well, it's all about perspective. When you're going through tough times, it's easy to think the world is against you. But what if those challenges are actually a reflection of the growth happening inside you? What if the universe is mirroring back the strength and resilience you're developing? It's like looking in a mirror when you're working out. You see the strain and sweat, but you also see the muscles forming. The mirror principle teaches us that our spiritual suffering isn't some random punishment. It's a reflection of the powerful transformation happening within us. Those challenges you're facing, they're showing you just how much you're growing, how much stronger you're becoming. It's like the universe is holding up a mirror and saying, look at how amazing you're becoming. But here's where it gets really interesting. Once you understand the mirror principle, you can start to use it to your advantage. Instead of just reacting to the reflections you see, you can start to consciously create them. It's like being able to choose what film goes into that projector. Want more peace in your life? Start cultivating peace within yourself. Want more love and connection? Start by loving and connecting with yourself. This principle isn't just about explaining why chosen ones suffer. It's about giving you a tool to navigate and even transform that suffering. When you start to see your challenges as reflections of your inner growth, they stop being obstacles and start being opportunities. It's like turning on a light in a dark room. Suddenly, you can see the purpose and potential in everything around you. Now, I know what you might be thinking. If I can control my inner world, why would I choose suffering? That's a great question, and it leads us to an important truth. Often, our deepest selves know what we need for growth, even if our conscious minds resist it. It's like your spiritual self is choosing a challenging workout routine, while your everyday self is complaining about the sore muscles. The mirror principle shows us that the suffering of the chosen ones isn't some cosmic punishment. It's a reflection of the incredible growth and transformation happening within. Those challenges you're facing, they're mirroring back your inner strength, your resilience, your capacity for growth. They're showing you just how powerful you really are. But here's the real game changer. Once you understand this principle, you can start to use it consciously. Instead of just reacting to the reflections you see in your life, you can start to create them intentionally. It's like being handed the director's chair in the movie of your life. You get to choose what goes on the screen. This doesn't mean you can instantly make all suffering disappear. Remember, some of that suffering is there for your growth. But what you can do is change how you perceive and interact with it. When you see a challenge, instead of thinking, "Why is this happening to me?" you can start thinking, "What is this teaching me? How is this helping me grow?" The mirror principle gives you a powerful lens through which to view your spiritual journey. It helps you understand that the outer challenges are reflecting inner transformations. Those difficult times aren't just random hardships. They're signs of your spiritual muscles developing, your soul expanding. Think about it like this. Have you ever watched a butterfly emerging from its cocoon? It's a struggle. It looks painful. You might even be tempted to help it out. But that struggle is crucial. It's what allows the butterfly to build the strength it needs to fly. Your spiritual challenges are like that cocoon. They might feel constraining, even painful at times, but they're shaping you, strengthening you, preparing you for flight. This principle also reminds us of the incredible power we hold. If our outer world reflects our inner world, then we have the power to change our reality by changing ourselves. It's like having a magic mirror that not only shows you who you are, but allows you to reshape what you see. For the chosen ones, this principle is particularly powerful. It means that the intensity of your challenges is a reflection of the intensity of your spiritual growth. The bigger the obstacles, the bigger the transformation happening within you. It's like the universe is saying, "I'm giving you these challenges because I know you can handle them. I know how strong you really are." But the mirror principle isn't just about explaining your current situation. It's about empowering you to create your future. By working on your inner world, your thoughts, beliefs, emotions, you're literally shaping your outer reality. It's like planting seeds in a garden. The seeds you plant in your mind will grow into the flowers of your life. This principle also helps us understand why chosen ones often face similar challenges repeatedly. It's not because they're failing or being punished. It's because there's a lesson there they haven't fully integrated yet. The mirror keeps reflecting until we fully embody the change we need to make. Understanding the mirror principle can be a major turning point in your spiritual journey. It shifts you from feeling like a victim of circumstance to recognizing yourself as a powerful creator of your reality. Yes, chosen ones may suffer, but now you can see that suffering as a reflection of your incredible capacity for growth and transformation. So the next time you face a challenge, remember the mirror principle. Look at that challenge and ask yourself, what is this reflecting about my inner world? What growth is this mirroring? And most importantly, how can I use this principle to create the reality I want? The mirror principle isn't just about understanding why chosen ones suffer. It's about recognizing the incredible power you hold to shape your spiritual journey. It's about seeing your challenges not as obstacles, but as reflections of your inner strength and potential. And ultimately, it's about empowering you to consciously create the spiritual life you're meant to live. Remember, the mirror doesn't judge. It simply reflects. So when you look into the mirror of your life, do so with compassion and curiosity. Embrace what you see as part of your journey. And know that with every challenge you face, you're not just suffering. You're transforming, growing, becoming the spiritual powerhouse you're meant to be. The mirror principle teaches us that the path of the chosen one isn't about avoiding suffering. It's about understanding it, embracing it, and using it as a tool for transformation. It's about recognizing that the challenges you face are reflections of the incredible spiritual growth happening within you. So, chosen ones, take heart. The suffering you're experiencing isn't a punishment. It's a reflection of your potential. It's the universe mirroring back to you just how powerful you truly are. Embrace it, learn from it, grow through it. Because on the other side of that suffering is a level of spiritual enlightenment you've only dreamed of. And remember, you're not alone on this journey. Every chosen one throughout history has walked this path. They've faced the challenges, embraced the suffering, and come out stronger on the other side. You're part of that lineage now. You're carrying that torch forward. The mirror principle isn't just a concept, it's a tool, a guide, a way of navigating your spiritual journey. Use it wisely. Let it show you not just who you are, but who you're becoming. Let it reveal to you the incredible strength and resilience you possess. As we move forward in this exploration of why chosen ones must suffer, keep the mirror principle in mind. It's going to be the foundation for understanding the deeper truths we're about to uncover. It's going to help you see your challenges in a whole new light. So, are you ready to dive deeper? Are you ready to understand not just why chosen ones suffer, but how that suffering is shaping you into the spiritual force you're meant to be? Then let's continue on this journey together. Because the more we understand about this process, the more empowered we become to navigate it. Remember, chosen one, you're not just enduring this journey, you're actively creating it. Every challenge you face, every obstacle you overcome, is a brushstroke on the canvas of your spiritual masterpiece. And with the mirror principle as your guide, you have the power to create something truly beautiful. So, let's take this understanding and move forward. Let's explore how we can use this principle to not just understand our suffering, but to transform it. Because that's what chosen ones do. They don't just endure, they transform. They take their challenges and turn them into stepping stones towards spiritual greatness. Are you ready to see your journey in a whole new light? Are you ready to understand the true power of your spiritual path? Then let's continue. Because this is just the beginning of unraveling the mystery of why chosen ones must suffer, and how that suffering is the key to unlocking your true spiritual potential. You might think being spiritually chosen means an easy life, filled with blessings and joy. But what if I told you it's actually the opposite? The truth is, those who are spiritually chosen often face the toughest challenges and the deepest pain. It's not about being punished or tested. It's about growth, strength, and becoming who you're meant to be. This might sound hard to believe, but by the end of this video, you'll understand why suffering is not just a part of the spiritual journey. It's a crucial step for the chosen ones. Now, you might be wondering, why should I care about this? Well, here's the thing. If you don't understand why suffering is part of the spiritual journey, you might give up when things get tough. And trust me, things will get tough. When life throws challenges your way, you might think you're on the wrong path. You might believe that all this talk about being chosen or spiritual is just nonsense. But that's exactly when you need to hold on the most. By understanding the role of suffering in your spiritual growth, you'll be better equipped to face challenges head-on. You'll see hardships not as roadblocks, but as stepping stones to becoming who you're meant to be. This knowledge can be the difference between giving up on your spiritual path and pushing through to amazing transformations. Let's dive into something called the mirror principle. Don't worry, it's not as complicated as it sounds. Imagine your life is like a big mirror. What you see in that mirror, your experiences, your relationships, your successes, and your struggles, is a reflection of what's inside you. Your thoughts, beliefs, and feelings are like the image standing in front of this mirror. Whatever you project, the mirror reflects back at you. Now, how does this connect to chosen ones and suffering? Well, when you're on a spiritual path, you're often working to change your inner world. You're trying to grow, to become wiser, kinder, or more connected to something greater than yourself. But here's the catch. As you work on changing your inner self, the mirror of your life starts to show you all the parts of yourself that need work. It's like cleaning a dusty old mirror. At first, it might look even messier as you wipe away years of dust. In the same way, when you start on a spiritual path, You might face challenges that bring up old fears, doubts, or pain. This isn't because you're doing something wrong. It's because you're finally seeing clearly what was always there, hidden beneath the surface. Let's break this down a bit more. When we talk about the mirror principle, we're really talking about two main things: how you see yourself and how you see the world around you. These two views create the reality you experience. Think about it this way. If deep down, you believe you're not worthy of love, you might find yourself in relationships where you're not treated well. Or if you believe the world is a harsh, unfair place, you might notice more negative events happening around you. It's not that these things are happening because you believe them. It's that your beliefs act like a filter, making you more likely to notice or create situations that match what you already believe. Now, for chosen ones on a spiritual path, this principle becomes super important. As you grow spiritually, you start to see parts of yourself you never noticed before. Maybe you realize you have some anger issues, or you're not as kind as you thought you were. This can be really uncomfortable. But remember, seeing these things isn't bad. It's actually a sign of growth. You're becoming more aware, more honest with yourself. And that awareness is the first step to making real changes. Here's where the suffering part comes in. When you start seeing these not-so-great parts of yourself, it can feel awful. You might feel guilty, ashamed, or frustrated. You might wonder, if I'm so spiritual, why do I still have these problems? But this discomfort, this suffering, is actually a good sign. It means you're seeing clearly, maybe for the first time. And only by seeing clearly can you start to make real changes. Now, let's talk about something that trips up a lot of people on their spiritual journey: the idea of delayed manifestation. This is a fancy way of saying that changes take time to show up in your life. When you start working on yourself spiritually, you might expect things to change right away. You meditate for a week and expect all your problems to disappear. Or you practice being more positive and wonder why you still face challenges. This is where a lot of people get discouraged and give up. But here's the thing. Just like it takes time for a seed to grow into a tree, it takes time for your inner changes to show up in your outer life. Think of it like this. Your thoughts and beliefs are like seeds you plant in your mind. But it takes time for those seeds to grow, to push through the soil, and to become visible in your life. This delay can feel like suffering. You're doing all this inner work, but you might not see results right away. You might wonder if it's all pointless. But this is where patience and faith come in. The chosen ones, those who are meant for spiritual growth, need to develop these qualities. They need to trust the process, even when they can't see the results yet. Remember, big changes don't happen overnight. If you're trying to overcome years of negative thinking or harmful habits, it's going to take more than a few days or weeks to see big changes. But every small step you take, every time you choose love over fear, kindness over anger, or faith over doubt, you're planting seeds for your future. Now, let's talk about something really important: where you put your attention. This might sound simple, but it's actually a powerful tool in your spiritual journey. When things get tough, it's easy to focus on all the bad stuff. You might think about how unfair life is, how much you're struggling, or how far you are from where you want to be. But here's the tricky part. What you focus on grows. If you keep focusing on your problems, guess what? You'll probably notice more and more problems in your life. This is where chosen ones need to be really careful. When you're going through tough times, it's tempting to complain, to focus on the pain or the challenges. But that's exactly when you need to shift your focus to what you want, not what you don't want. Here's how it works. Instead of thinking about how much you hate your job, focus on the kind of job you'd love to have. Instead of dwelling on a bad relationship, think about the loving relationships you want to create. This doesn't mean ignoring your problems or pretending everything is fine when it's not. It means choosing to put more of your energy into solutions and possibilities rather than problems. This can be really hard when you're suffering. It might even feel fake at first. But remember, you're not denying your current reality. You're choosing to focus on where you want to go rather than where you are right now. It's like planning a trip. You don't focus on how much you dislike your current location. You focus on where you want to go and how to get there. For chosen ones, this focus is crucial. Your spiritual path isn't just about escaping suffering. It's about creating something beautiful, even in the midst of challenges. By focusing on what you want to create, on the person you want to become, you're actually speeding up your spiritual growth. You're aligning yourself with your higher purpose, even when things are tough. Now, let's talk about something I call the mirror cycle. This is where things get really interesting, and it's a concept that can completely change how you view your spiritual journey. The mirror cycle is all about how we interact with the reflections we see in our lives. Most people get stuck in a negative cycle. They see something they don't like in their life, they focus on it, feel bad about it, and then, surprise, surprise, they see more of the same thing happening. It's like being trapped in a room full of mirrors, seeing the same unhappy reflection everywhere you look. But here's the exciting part. You can break this cycle. Instead of just reacting to what you see in the mirror of your life, you can choose to create a new reflection. This is where the chosen ones really start to shine. Instead of getting stuck in the cycle of observing and reacting, you learn to project and confirm. Here's how it works. First, you decide what kind of person you want to be, what kind of life you want to live. This is your projection, the image you're putting out into the world. Then, instead of looking for all the ways your life doesn't match this image, you start looking for ways it does. You confirm the positive changes, no matter how small. For example, let's say you want to be more confident. Instead of focusing on all the times you feel insecure, you start noticing the moments when you do feel confident, even if they're tiny. Maybe you spoke up in a meeting or tried something new. You focus on these moments, celebrate them, and guess what? You'll start seeing more of them. This cycle can be tough at first. When you're suffering, it's not easy to focus on the positive. But this is exactly what separates the chosen ones from the rest. They learn to use their challenges as fuel for growth. They don't deny their pain, but they don't let it define them either. They use it as a reminder to refocus on what they want to create. Now, let's put all of this into practice with a simple exercise. Don't worry, you don't need any special equipment or skills for this. All you need is your mind and a little bit of time. Here's what you're going to do. Every day, for the next week, take a few minutes to visualize the person you want to become. See yourself as already being that person. How do you act? How do you feel? How do you treat others? Really let yourself feel what it's like to be this version of you. Now, here's the important part. Throughout your day, look for evidence that you're already becoming this person. Did you have a moment of kindness? A flash of confidence? A second of peace? No matter how small, acknowledge these moments. They're confirmation that you're on the right path. When challenges come up, and they will, don't see them as signs that you're failing. Instead, view them as opportunities to practice being this new version of yourself. How would the confident, kind, peaceful you handle this situation? This exercise might feel uncomfortable at first. You might feel like you're pretending or lying to yourself. But remember, you're not denying your current reality. You're focusing your energy on the reality you want to create. You're breaking the old mirror cycle and starting a new one. Let me share a story that might help bring all of this together. A few years ago, I met someone I'll call Sarah. Sarah had always felt different, like she didn't quite fit in. She was drawn to spiritual ideas, but her life was a mess. She struggled with relationships, couldn't keep a job, and felt constantly anxious and depressed. Sarah started learning about these principles we've been discussing. At first, she was skeptical. How could changing her thoughts change her life when everything seemed so messed up? But she decided to give it a try. She started with small steps. Instead of focusing on how lonely she felt, she began to appreciate the few connections she did have. Instead of dwelling on her job struggles, she started to envision the kind of work she'd love to do. It wasn't easy. There were days when Sarah felt like giving up. The old patterns would creep back in, and she'd find herself stuck in negative thinking. But each time, she'd remind herself to refocus on what she wanted to create, not what she wanted to avoid. Slowly, things started to change. She noticed people responding to her differently. Job opportunities started to appear that aligned more with her interests. Her anxiety didn't disappear overnight, but she found she could manage it better. The most significant change, though, was how Sarah saw herself. She started to understand that her sensitivity, her feeling of being different, wasn't a curse. It was part of her spiritual gift. She began to see her challenges not as punishments, but as opportunities for growth. Today, Sarah's life looks very different. She's not free from problems. No one is. But she approaches them with a newfound strength and wisdom. She understands that as a chosen one, her path involves both joy and pain, ease and challenge. But now, instead of being defeated by the hard times, she uses them as catalysts for deeper spiritual growth. As we wrap up this journey through the mirror principle and why chosen ones must suffer, let's take a moment to reflect on what we've learned. We started by challenging the idea that being spiritually chosen means an easy life. Instead, we've seen that the path of the chosen often involves facing our deepest fears, confronting our shadows, and pushing through intense challenges. But now we understand that this suffering isn't a punishment. It's a powerful tool for growth and transformation. We've explored the mirror principle, learning how our inner world shapes our outer reality. We've seen how the challenges we face are often reflections of the growth happening within us. And we've discovered that by changing our inner landscape, we can begin to change the world around us. We've talked about the importance of patience, understanding that spiritual growth often comes with a delay. Just like a seed needs time to sprout and grow, our inner changes need time to manifest in our outer world. This delay can feel like suffering, but it's actually a crucial part of the process. We've learned the power of focus, understanding that what we put our attention on grows. As chosen ones, we have the responsibility to direct our focus towards what we want to create, even in the midst of challenges. This doesn't mean ignoring our problems, but rather choosing to put more energy into solutions and possibilities. We've explored the mirror cycle, learning how to break free from negative patterns and create new, empowering reflections in our lives. We've seen that instead of just reacting to what life throws at us, we can actively create the reality we desire. And finally, we've put all of this into practice with a simple yet powerful exercise, giving you a tool to start reshaping your reality right away. Remember, being a chosen one doesn't mean you won't face difficulties. In fact, you might face more challenges than most. But now you understand why. These challenges are not obstacles to your path. They are the path. They're the tools that will shape you, strengthen you, and help you become the spiritual force you're meant to be. So the next time you're facing a difficult situation, remember this. You're not being punished. You're not doing something wrong. You're being sculpted, refined, prepared for something greater. Your challenges are a reflection of your potential. Your suffering is a sign of your strength. Embrace your journey, chosen one. See your challenges as opportunities. Use your suffering as a catalyst for growth. And always remember, you have the power to shape your reality. You are not just a passive observer in the mirror of life. You are the creator of your reflection. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of why chosen ones must suffer. Remember, this isn't the end of your journey. It's just the beginning. Keep growing, keep learning, and keep shining your light. The world needs what only you can bring.